Good evening and welcome back to another Fantasy Football Fix daily price change predictions video. My name is FPL Nacho and this is the series where we discuss potential FPL price changes to help you build that essential team value. Now in this video, off the back of that crazy game week 9, we're going to be discussing a few potential price rises, and those are going to include a certain midfield maestro at Man City. I'll let you guess that one. And we're also going to be discussing a budget defender that is absolutely flying recently in FPL, a certain Lundstrom 2.0, you might want to say. So we've got all that to come in this video. And of course, guys, everything that we are covering today is taken from fantasyfootballfix.com, the leading FPL platform. So if you want to improve your rank or win those mini leagues, be sure to head over to fantasyfootballfix.com to check it out. Link in the bio. So without further ado, let's take a look at tonight's potential FPL price changes. Right guys, first up, we're going to be comparing two potential price rises tonight in Tino Livramento and Man City's Cancelo. Two players that are completely opposite spectrums of the price range right now. Livramento currently priced at 4.3 million and Cancelo currently priced at 6.3 million. As I mentioned, both predicted to rise in price tonight after crossing the 100% threshold. Of course, you can check all this out over on our price predictor at fantasyfootballfix.com and of course on the graphics around me here. But I have brought up the player heat map section on Fantasy Football Fix to compare the two players, because we have to really touch on the price difference here and the amazing value that Livramento is offering at this price bracket. Now, comparing him against Cancelo, arguably one of the most creative defenders in the league right now in regards to FPL potential, and playing in one of the best defences in the league. So I think this is a really interesting matchup to really gauge the value that Livramento is offering. So 36 points of Livramento compared to 51 of Cancelo. And when we look at the points per game, 4 points for Livramento in comparison to Cancelo's 5.7. So as expected, nobody was expecting Livramento in a team like Southampton, who could see plenty of chances to be exceeding Cancelo as an FPL asset. But when we look at, first and foremost, the points returns, they aren't too different really in comparison to those prices. So the value of Livramento is offering brilliant so far this season. When we come down here into the touch maps, this is where it's very interesting in regards to Livramento, because it really gives us an understanding on the emphasis that Southampton are giving him to bomb down that right-hand side. Now, of course, when we compare it to Cancelo, Man City operate their fullbacks in very different ways, obviously bringing their fullbacks very centrally in certain aspects of the play, getting them linking up with the final third, whereas Livramento is very much a traditional right-back, operating on that right-hand side, hogging the touchline and obviously getting balls in the box. And as you can see, sometimes getting in and around the box as well, which is really good to see, as we expect Cancelo getting a few touches in the box as well. But really, you would say that Livramento matches Cancelo in regards to the heat map in and around the box. So really impressive stuff to see for Livramento owners. And of course, managers look at him as a potential option, whether they've missed the boat or not. Or when I look at the heat map here, I just see potential for attack and returns for sure. And when we come down to the actual stats of both players, as I mentioned, I'm fully expecting Cancelo to be outstatting Livramento here. 17 shots for Cancelo in comparison to 6 of Livramento. But the attempted assist, 10 for Livramento in comparison to Cancelo's 8. That's very interesting to see there, and showing that Livramento was really part of this Southampton attack and really somebody who is an emphasis on getting down that right-hand side, and impressive to see them comparisons there. And again, when I come down here to the underlying stats, this is where it gets very interesting. So as we know, Cancelo, an amazing option, but still no goal in the league in comparison to the 1 goal of Livramento. And the expected goals of Livramento, again, is impressive at 0.58. Obviously, still a right back. Like, we're not expecting Salah levels of expected goals. Cancelo 1.3. We all know that he's due a goal right now, and he's had so many brilliant chances so far this season. That goal is coming for sure. But really interesting to compare him to Livramento here. Shots, as we mentioned, 17 to Livramento 6, and on target 5 to the 2. But again, 4 shots on target for both, really justifying that Livramento's getting in those positions within the box. And as we touched on, the expected assists, 1.1 in comparison to the 0.72 of Cancelo. So again, brilliant stats of Livramento, and he really isn't out his depth when we compare him to Cancelo. Now, going forward, I really do think that Cancelo is somebody that we still should be looking at from a Man City defensive option. Now, When we compare the two, of course, very difficult to compare because we're comparing the Man City defence, one of the best in the league in comparison to Southampton's. But I really do think that with Cancelo potentially rising in price tonight, I still think there is amazing value in Cancelo going forward. I think he is the guaranteed left back in the team. Now, of course, with Pep, with Zinchenko in the fold, he is going to get rotated from time to time, but he is definitely the #1 left back when the big games arrive and when he wants to get consistent minutes. Of course, he is the man, but Pep does like the rotation from now and then. But with Livramento, we could definitely say that he is the #1 player in that team, that right back position. I think minutes are going to be guaranteed for him going forward. With the Southampton fixtures coming up, I really do think that he is a long-term hold for your teams. And although you might have missed the bus, starting at 4 million, now potentially rising to 4.4, I still think if you haven't got Livramento on your side, I think there are still returns to come. And you definitely haven't missed the boat. So Livramento and Cancelo going forward are still brilliant options in your FPL teams. So guys, just to support the argument of Livramento and Cancelo going forward, I've brought up the attack difficulty fixture analyzer over on fantasyfootballfix.com. And as we can see here, Southampton are 3rd best for attacking fixtures going forward. Now it's worth noting they are 7th best on the defensive fixture analyzer as well. But really impressively, 3rd best on the fixtures. Now, of course, it might not pan out this way. We don't know with Southampton whether they are going to be able to take advantage of these attacking fixtures going forward. But as we've seen with the underlying stats, and of course Livramento scoring in game week 9, I look at the fixtures coming up with Watford, Villa, Norwich in particular over the next 3. I really do think that Livramento's attacking returns could still be going forward over the next 3. And of course, with the defence difficulty coming up, I've mentioned that they are 7th best. I really do think that this is a brilliant time to jump in on Livramento. Now, in terms of the Man City, currently, I believe they're 7th best attacking fixtures. Again, with Man City, one of the best teams in the league. I really do think that looking at the fixtures going forward, likes of Man United, who are currently red on the difficulty planner, aren't really too difficult for them. And of course, defensively, still one of the best in the league. So when I look at the fixtures going forward, I just wanted to bring this up on the website. I really think this justifies picking both of those as potential assets in your teams going forward. Okay guys, so last up, I've just decided to dip into the Opta Stats sandbox over a Fantasy Football Fix just to look at Game Week 9 in isolation, as the second most transferred in player ahead of Game Week 10 is Phil Foden. I really want to have a look in depth at the actual stats that he did produce, because Phil Foden right now over the course of the season has been in and out in terms of minutes, so it's very difficult to get a real gauge on him as an FPL asset going forward. So I want to take the 90 minutes that he did have against Brighton, because I really do think that this was a perfect example of what we can expect going forward with him. And again, small sample, short-term data does not predict obviously the future, but if this is a sign of things to come, I really do think that this is a guy that we really need to have on all of our radars. Now, of course, Mo Salah was the man who got all of the headlines, rightly so, with his hat-trick in Old Trafford. But when we look here at the expected FPL points, the one that is second to the right, we can see that Salah had 15.62 and of course actually got 24 points. Phil Foden, on the other hand, had an expected FPL points of 14.34 and had 18 points. So when we actually looked at the expected points there, Foden was so close to Mo Salah. And I really do think that these are some really impressive stats. Had more shots than Mo Salah with 8 in comparison to Mo Salah's 7. And 1 FPL assist, of course, and 2 attempted assists. But impressively, an XG of 1.52. Now, of course, we're comparing an 8.1 midfielder here to a 12.9 midfielder in Mo Salah. And worth mentioning as well, against a Brighton team who prior to this had one of the top 5 expected goals defences in the league. So they were putting up some very good defensive numbers. So, of course, as a team, Man City are so impressive. But I really do think if Phil Foden can string along some 90 minutes over the coming game weeks, I really do think that he is a player that we need to be looking at going forward. And with Man City assets, I think the ceiling is so high for them that you kind of need to accept that rotation is going to be part and parcel. And whereas assets like Jota and Greenwood along the way this season have kind of been similar players where they've been getting dropped and then playing, I really do think that Foden of the 3 is the one that you can handle going forward, getting dropped from now and then, because in the Man City side that are so consistent and the ceiling that he offers going forward with these underlying stats, I think if you can bring Phil Foden in for their brilliant fixture at home to Crystal Palace this weekend, I think going forward that is going to reap a lot of rewards going forward. And if he can keep up these stats, a brilliant option. Okay guys, that is going to wrap up today's FPL price changes predictions video. I really hope that has provided you guys some value and of course some interesting players potentially rising in price like Cancelo, Livramento and potentially Phil Foden, who's on that crest of being over the line at that 100% progress bar. So be sure to head over to fantasyfootballfix.com over on the price predictor to monitor these closely, as it is going to be a very interesting night of price changes potentially. Now of course, FPL price changes aren't an exact science and they can alter. So using our price predictor will just be able to help you monitor them very closely. So I want to say a massive shout out for tuning into this video, guys. If you did enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button and show your support by hitting that subscribe button. And of course, with this being a daily series, these are dropping all the time. So you don't want to be missing a thing. So hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. So we will see you guys same time tomorrow. Cheers.